much good, well known as a book distribution. And like that, Prabhuji also a leading preacher doing book distribution and managing Sankirtan bus party by himself throughout the USA. Hari Bol! He has done degree in culture anthropology. His main source of inspiration is Srila Prabhupada, and he is very well versed in Vedic literature. So let us welcome Prabhuji to our best by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
YouTube ब्लॉग मत करो, फेसबुक अपलोड कर दो, फेसबुक प्रमोट कर दो, मैं YouTube में कर दो।
So we're going to sing a song called Nama Mahatmya by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's the final song of his songbook Saranagati. It's a very powerful song describing the power of the holy name. So does everyone have a cell phone they can look it up on? Cell phone? English is okay?
Yes.
So you all can look up the song. It's called Nama Mahatmya, and it's written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Krishna Nama Hare Krishna Krishna Nama Hare Krishna everyone has a song. Otherwise, does everyone have a cell phone or no?
Yes, my friend, I will find it.
This group has a WhatsApp?
Yes.
Does everyone have? Everyone got it now? You're all looking at it? Krishna Hare Krishna ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यानन्दोपीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वं पदन्तिकम् अनागमश्रियं याचे पुनः पुनः श्रीमान् रूपा पदं भोजो विलिशं जमजन्मनि Vandeham Shri Guru Shivtaparakam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sankam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Ladita Shri Vishakam Vitam Saja Panchakalpatarmasya kripasindhureva cha paditanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhute Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayate Sutarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhute Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Durgame Pataminantasya Sakala Paragatirmu Swakripa Yasti Danina Santa Santa Kalamade Sarva Shrestha Nama Sankirtan
Karamade Sarva Shrestha Nama Sankirtan
Kalamade Sarva Shrestha Nama Sankirtan
Karamade Sarva Shrestha Nama Sankirtan
Karamade Sarva Shrestha Nama Sankirtan Niraparare Namalaya Paya Premadan Karamade Sarva Shrestha Nama Sankirtan Niraparare Namalaya Paya Premadan Karamade Sarva Shrestha Nama Sankirtan Niraparare Namalaya Paya Premadan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Shri Chaitanya Namaste is a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Anti Lila, text number 71. And this is describing the most important process of devotional service, which is the chanting of Krishna's names. So, living in a base center means that the name of it is Bhakti Vedanta
Academy of Cultural Education.
Academy of Cultural Education. So education means you have to teach. So how can you teach? It's explained by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Pranayachayar Sehetu Pracha. In order to preach, one has to have life. But one doesn't have to have breathing life, because the bellows are breathing. And one doesn't need eating life because the animals are eating. And life doesn't mean mating because everyone's mating. So what does it mean to have life? It means to have Krishna life, Krishna Jivana. One has to have a life full of Krishna. And having a life full of Krishna means developing attachment for Krishna's name. So it's very important that we understand this Nam-tattva. What is this holy name of Krishna? Why do we spend so much time chanting? Of all the programs in the morning program, what is the time that we spend the most doing? Chanting the holy names of Krishna. Chanting the holy names of Krishna. So the names of Krishna are extremely important for our spiritual advancement. Actually, it's the primary method for making spiritual advancement. I remember when I first got a book, I got the Perfection of Yoga. And I read the Perfection of Yoga. I don't remember anything from my first reading of the book. I don't remember the philosophy so much. I don't remember any sentences. But I remember one shloka from the book. One shloka stood out to me. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, talo nasteva nasteva gaviranyata. So this chanting of Hare Krishna is the primary method for making advancement in Kali Yuga. There's actually no other way to make spiritual advancement except chanting Krishna's names. So we'll read this. Taramadye sarva shreshta nama sankirtan.
Taramadye sarva shreshta nama sankirtan.
Niraparadhe nama laye paya premadhan.
Niraparadhe nama laye paya premadhan.
Translation of the 9 processes of devotional service, the most important is to always chant the holy name of the Lord. If one does so, avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses, one very easily obtains the most valuable love of God. So, the most important is to always chant Krishna's name.
If one does this by avoiding the 10 offenses, one easily obtains the most valuable gift of love of Krishna. Premadan. Premadan. One receives the gift of the holy name. And who gives this gift? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in this age of Kali, is a combined form of Radha and Krishna. And in this combined form of Radha and Krishna, he's bestowing what no incarnation has ever given. Namo Mahavanandaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratvise Namaha. He's giving the most valuable gift of love of God. And how is he giving that valuable gift? He's giving it by giving himself. He's giving himself to the world through the form of his name. Kali Kali Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar. In this Kali Yuga, the avatar for Krishna comes in the form of his holy name. So the primary activity for those who are in a base, the primary activity for those who are living in an ISKCON temple, the primary activity for the entire world is the chanting of Krishna's names. So we'll read this purport. Srila Prabhupada gives very wonderful instructions into the chanting of Krishna's names. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu gives the following directions in his Bhakti Sandarbha. Chanting the holy name is the chief means of attaining love of Godhead. This chanting and devotional service does not depend on any paraphernalia, nor on one's having taken birth in a good family. By humility and meekness, one attracts the attention of Krishna. That is the verdict of all the Vedas. So in some process of devotional service, like for instance in hearing, in order to hear Krishna Katha, you need to go to a particular place, correct? And who needs to be there? Sadhu. And so what is it said about sadhus? The association of sadhus is extremely rare. Manusyanam sahasresu kadaschit yati siddhaye yatatam mapi siddhanam kaschit mam veti tatpataha. That of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who endeavor for perfection, one knows Krishna in truth. So to actually go and hear Krishna Katha is extremely difficult. To be able to find a bona fide sadhu, I may be in the dress of a sadhu, but how do you know if I am a sadhu? Has he told you? You don't know. So to find a bona fide sadhu in Kali Yuga is extremely difficult. So to go into the association of devotees is a rare gift. Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kata tagjosan asupavarga vartmani shadaratir bhaktir anukramisyati. That when one comes in the association of devotees and hears that Krishna Katha, it acts like a medicine for the heart. And that medicine for the heart purifies one of all the apavargas. The apavargas are the unwanted qualities that come with living in the material world. Working extremely hard, and then through that working extremely hard, you start to get foam in your mouth. And it's like sometimes you see like animals, like a donkey. He's on the road pulling the, what's it called? The lorry? What's it called?
That is lorry.
Lorry, yeah. So he's pulling all the laundry, and sometimes the lorry, the washerman whips the donkey, and the donkey belts out and he spits foam. So that's actually our life as well. We're pulling the weight of our material desires, and the material energy is whipping us. And because of that, we're spitting out the foam of the hard work of the material world. And then what comes after that is one feels fearful all the time. One feels fearful, oh, what's going to happen? What about my wealth? What about my family? What about my home? What about my car? And what about my M-Tech? What about my B-Tech? So much fear is there. What if I don't pass my exam? What if my parents don't settle me? What if my parents try to settle me? All these questions are constantly there in the mind of the living entity. Always fearful. The nature of the material world is to be constantly fearful. Why? Why am viniveshitasya? Because one has turned their face from Krishna. Krishna bahirmukha bhoga vanshakare nikatastanamaya thare japatiya dare. We turned our back from Krishna. And what happens? Maya is there and she grabs the living entity. And what does he grab him with? Attraction for the opposite sex. One becomes bound by the ropes of this material lust. Vidyate hridaye grantis. This hridaye grantis is so tightly bound within the heart of the living entity that we see that throughout time, Roman civilization, Babylonian civilization, Napoleon, the British, once the entire British was ruling India, now where are they? They're gone, right? Now America, Russia, China, so many civilizations have risen and fallen, right?
Yes.
But all of them are tightly bound by sex desire. So these civilizations rise up due to sex desire, and they crash due to sex desire. So the material world is spinning because of the attraction for the opposite sex. Animals, plants, birds, human beings. Everyone's tightly bound by this. This is creating so much anxiety within the heart. It burns like fire. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a lust that burns like fire in the heart. So how does one overcome this? The Rasayana Katha, one hears from the devotees. Shara bhaktir anukramisiti. Shara ratir bhaktir anukramisiti. One's faith develops, one develops taste for devotional service. Otherwise, how can you stay in devotional service? Waking up 4 o'clock in the morning, taking a bath, coming upstairs, and sitting down and chanting. How can you maintain this lifestyle unless you're getting a taste? So that taste comes from the association of devotees. But to find the association of devotees is extremely difficult. So Jiva Goswami is saying, chanting the holy name is the chief means of attaining perfection. This chanting or devotional service does not depend on any paraphernalia, or one's having taken birth in a good family. So also there's archanam. Archanam people engage in for the purpose of purifying their mind. But in order to engage in archanam, you have to purify your hands. You have to chant various mantras in order to become in a clean state. But with the holy name, no matter what your condition is, Nam Namukari Bahudani Jasarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Tatra Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Niyamene Kalaha. And no matter what the time, place, or circumstances, no matter if one is clean, Suchi Hoy, Muchi Hoy, Jote Krishna Bhadi, that one can chant Krishna's names. And then prayer. In order to pray, you have to know various mantras. You have to memorize so many shlokas in order to offer proper prayers. In order to pray in a mood that actually attracts the attention of the Lord, you have to understand the mood of the acharyas. So there's so many forms of devotional service. Smaranam, in order to remember Krishna, the mind has to be sufficiently purified. So that's why Krishna Nam Swabhave Smaranam. I'm forgetting the verse, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explains in his Dushtamana, the primary way of remembering Krishna is the chanting of Hare Krishna. So this is what gives life to the soul, is this remembrance of Krishna. In order to preach, one has to have only come if one is sufficiently connected with Krishna through His holy name. Being connected with Krishna through His holy name, Krishna begins to reveal Himself gradually according to the consciousness of the person who's chanting. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavatrayam Indriyai Sevan Mukehi Jivadao Swayam Eva Sparatyadao. That Krishna begins to reveal His rupa, His guna, and His lila according to the service attitude of the chanter. And devotional service begins with the tongue. So it begins with chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Jiva Goswami goes on to explain, by humility and meekness, one attracts the attention of Krishna. That is the verdict of all the Vedas. Therefore, if one becomes very humble and meek, he can easily attain the lotus feet of Krishna in this age of Kali. That is the fulfillment of all sacrifices, penances, and austerities. Because when one achieves ecstatic love of God, he obtains the perfection of life. So Srila Prabhupada in a lecture on the prayers of Rishabdev, in this verse Tapo Divyam, he explains that Tapo Div in the age of Kali means becoming humble. The primary austerity for those living in the age of Kali is to become humble. Why? Because prayena alpita sabya kala vasmin yagejanaha manda sumanda matayo manda bhagyatraha. The people in Kali Yuga are extremely unfortunate. What's their unfortunate? A very strong pride. Very, very proud. And they don't really have so much to be proud about, but still, they're extremely proud. Proud over a little piece of land that they have, or a little dog that they own. So much pride is there. So Raghunath Das Goswami says, Damba Hitva, give up this pride. Give up this pride immediately. You have nothing to be proud about. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs, Trinadapi Samichena, Tarorapi Sahishnana, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So there's this game that in India, what's it called? You say the name of something over and over again, and then they have to touch. You run and touch. Kabaddi. Yeah. So there's this game. I just learned about this recently. So there's this game. Kabaddi, 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 kabaddi. Hari. And this absorption in the transcendental vibration of Krishna comes through humility. Trinadapi Samichena. One has to be extremely humble. One has to be lower than the straw in the street. And why is this lower than the straw in the street there? I remember the first time I went on Navadvip Dham Parikrama. We were walking, and I saw all these straws in the street, and everyone is just trampling on them. Who's ever heard of the Advanti? And he wouldn't spend even a cent of money, even for basic needs of the body. And he wouldn't give any money to his family. He wouldn't give any money to his friends. He wouldn't give his money to anyone. What's the value of all this wealth anyways? Wealth is the source of so many unwanted qualities. And they would, when he would sit down to eat, people would come up and pass urine on his food, from the food that he had just collected. He would take in a vow of silence, and although he had taken a vow of silence, people would harass him to try to break his vow of silence. And if he didn't, they would beat him. They would tie him up, beat him. Children would make fun of him. People would pass foul air on him and do so many horrible things. And then he said that all of these people aren't the cause of my suffering. These circumstances, this time and place isn't the cause of my suffering. The demigods aren't the cause of my suffering. My karma isn't the cause of my suffering. The only cause of suffering is my own mind. The only cause of suffering is my own mind. No one is my enemy. Yomam pasati sarvatra sarvam shamai pasati tasyaham na pranasyami sacha me na pranasyati. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that one who sees me in all things and all things in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost in me. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vanupashati sarvabhutani chapmanam tato nabhijigupsate. That one who sees Krishna in all things, in all living entities, as part and parcels of Krishna, they have nothing to hate. They have nothing to hate because they see that everything is Krishna's arrangement in life. They see that every blade of grass is moving by the sanction of Krishna. When we have bad things happen to our life, what is our reaction? We try to respond to it. We try to adjust the situation. We try to adjust the material elements, bhumirnapanalovayu, in order to facilitate the perpetuation of our false ego. We try to adjust the circumstances in such a way that our concept of who we are is maintained. Isn't it? So like for instance, you see like in the home, a child will steal. And in order to maintain the disposition of being a good boy, did you steal? No, Papa. The father knows that he stole. But the son, in order to maintain, no, Papa, I didn't steal. He lies. He adjusts the circumstances in order to maintain his false ego. So when one goes beyond this platform of false ego, when one goes beyond trying to adjust things in this world, one can see Krishna's divine hand in all things. And this is real humility. And this can only come through service to a proper master. Tadvidi pranipratena paniprashnena sevaya upadakshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha yagyanva na punam moham Evanyasyashi Pandava Yena Bhutani Sheshyani Drakshyashyatmatmato Mayi. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that one who has served a master properly can see Krishna in all things and all things in Krishna. So we have to develop this consciousness of Krishna. Otherwise, what are we doing? International Society for Krishna Consciousness. You guys know this devotee, Madhavananda Prabhu?
Yes.
I feel he's very famous around here because he stays in Jagannath Puri. He's a very beloved disciple of Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj. So he once said that in a class, Gaura Govinda Maharaj said, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Madhavananda has not joined yet. He tells this story. So what does this mean? The International Society for Krishna Consciousness means that the society should be people who are Krishna conscious. Means that the people who are existing in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, they should be Krishna conscious. So if you're not Krishna conscious, you haven't joined yet. Your application is still pending. So we want to become Krishna conscious, and this Krishna consciousness only comes when we're humble enough to see Krishna's hand in our life. I heard a devotee once say in class that someone asked him on book distribution, have you ever seen God? The person was a bit inimical. You ever been on book distribution before? Semi-marathon? Everyone's been on books? Who's been on books before? Too small of a number.
Lots of new devotees.
New devotees. Okay. So when you go on book distribution, you meet all sorts of people. Some people are very challenging. Some people are very kind. So this particular occasion, this devotee met someone who was very challenging, very rude. He said, have you seen God? And then the devotee responded, he said, I've never seen the face of God, but I've seen the hand of God in my life. So we have to develop that consciousness. We have to learn to see everything connected with Krishna. Every circumstance is connected with Krishna. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of Krishna. This is what it means to be Krishna conscious. And to see anything separate from Krishna is Maya. This is the definition of illusion. So we have to see that everything is being maintained and directed by Krishna. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam haintuantena kaunteya jagat viparya vartate. Everything is under Krishna's control. So when we develop this humility and we develop the tolerance to tolerate the circumstances that come in life, the example is given of a tree. The tree, although it rains so hard, although lightning strikes, although the tree is cut down, it still continues to give fruit during the summer. It still continues to give fruit during the spring. It continues to give shade during the summer. And in the winter, it tolerates the cold weather. It stands outside naked, and it just tolerates the cold weather. But it continues just to give. And then when the tree is no longer valuable, people come down and chop it down for its wood. But the tree doesn't protest. So similarly, in our circumstances in life, we shouldn't try to adjust circumstances artificially. We should do our due diligence to whatever duty that we have in a particular circumstance. We should try to carry that out with honesty, with integrity. But simultaneously, we shouldn't try to adjust circumstances for the glorification of our own false ego. We should try to see Krishna's hand and allow our life to reside in Krishna's hands. That's why Jiva Goswami is saying that if one becomes very humble and meek, one can easily attain the lotus feet of Krishna. So when one has this humility and this tolerance, one naturally knows how to be respectful to everyone. And simultaneously, one doesn't expect any respect for oneself. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita there's 5 causes of action. Adistyanam yata partha karana. There's the times the Krishna, who is the ultimate sanctioner. So we can try as hard as we like to make our circumstances comfortable, but if Krishna doesn't give his sanction, then it won't allow. So in the same way, we should see that in all circumstances of life, we have no reason to be. So I could get off the Vyasasana at the end of this and feel like, a very proud speaker. Look how good of a person. I get to travel all over the world and talk about Krishna. Just look at me, glorify me. But if none of you are here to listen, what's the value of my words? So actually, we need each other. All devotees need each other, and there's nothing to be proud of, because we're simply working together to glorify Krishna. So you listen to me, and that's a service for me, and I speak, and that's a service for you. So devotional service is reciprocal. Devotional service means to reciprocate. So we have nothing to be proud of in this world. We should simply try to be humble servants of our superiors. That's the only thing that has any value in this world, is that we are completely dependent on the mercy of Krishna. We are completely dependent on the mercy of the Vaishnavacharyas. And one who can see this mercy in their life, and one who feels completely dependent on this mercy in all circumstances, is truly happy. Bhokta ramya gatapasam sarva loka maheshvanam suram sarva bhutanam gyantvamam shantim richate. That one who sees that Krishna is the proprietor, one who sees that Krishna is the maintainer, and one who sees that Krishna is the well-wishing friend, he's truly peaceful. So developing consciousness of Krishna means to be humble, means to be tolerant, means to give respect to all living entities. Krishna explains in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that one who acts in this way, this is the topmost religious process, is what he says, that one who acts with the consciousness that Krishna is residing within the heart of every living entity. He's residing within the heart of the dog, he's residing within the heart of the Brahmana. What's that verse? Pandita Samadarshana. In the beginning of it, remember? Pandita Samadarshana. Vidyavanaya Sampane Brahmani Gavani Hashtani Sunichaiva Supankecha Pandita Samadarshana. The one who's a truly learned person, he sees the equality of all living entities on a spiritual platform. Everyone has different guna and karma that they're engaging in according to how they've associated with this world. But a truly learned person sees Krishna's presence within all of them. He sees that Krishna is guiding the activity of that living entity. Krishna is giving sanction for that living entity. And so feeling compassionate for that person, a preacher sees that due to that person forgetting Krishna, they're feeling completely miserable. Based on the preacher's own experience, based on the person who's giving Krishna consciousness to the people, by dint of their own experience of lack of Krishna within their life, they can see that everyone's lack of Krishna is the primary cause of suffering. The only reason why we suffer in this world is because we don't have sufficient attachment to Krishna's holy name and sufficient attraction to Krishna's holy fame. When you have attachment for Krishna's name and attraction to Krishna's holy name, you can stay in a little room with a sleeping mat, with a library of Prabhupada's books, a bead bag, and as long as someone comes and knocks on the door and brings prasadam, you'll be completely peaceful. You don't need anything more than this. But because we lack this attraction, Krishna Bhakti Karma Kaila Sarva Kritaha. That one who's developed faith in the process of devotional service, they have no more duties to fulfill. They don't have duties to their family, they don't have duties to the demigods, they don't have duty to society, they don't have duty to the sages, because their faith is the topmost kind of faith. They've developed faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. So this is the direction we want to be going. And everything comes through the chanting of Krishna's holy name. If one can simply just lend their heart every morning to the chanting of Hare Krishna and chant the holy name with attention, which is an expression of our love. If you love someone and you're having a meal with them, And in the middle of the meal, you pull out your phone and start looking at your phone. How is the person going to feel? Neglected, correct? So when we're chanting Krishna's names, we're calling Krishna to come be with us. We're calling Krishna to come dance in the temple of our heart. There's a song in Hindi, Mama Mana. Everyone? Yeah. So Mama Mana Mandire. My dear Lord, make my mind your heart. I mean, make my heart your temple. Make my mind and my heart a mandir. Krishna Murari, Shri Krishna Murari. So we want Krishna to come and play his flute inside of our heart. We want Radha and Krishna to come and dance on our tongue. But if we're not paying attention to the holy name, then there's no reason for them to come. So we have to take shelter of the holy name with attention. And then when we're chanting, we shouldn't just be chanting with a lip service. It shouldn't just be Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. You're sitting next to someone and like, excuse me? What did you just say? Are you trying to tell me something? And you see that they're chanting, and they're doing this whole show about how absorbed they are, but they're not even hearing the holy name. So when we're chanting, we should try to chant with proper pronunciation. Prabhupada says the primary way to chant is with our lips and our tongue. It's very common sense, but common sense is very uncommon in Kali Yuga. So we have to chant with our lips and our tongue. It means we're hearing every syllable. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. So we have to chant with proper pronunciation. We have to chant with attention. And simultaneously, we have to chant with a prayerful attitude. As Gaura Govinda Maharaj used to say, you have to cry for Krishna. You have to cry for Krishna. You have to feel yourself sunyayitam jagat sarvam govindam virahe name. You should feel the world completely absent, vacant, without Krishna. And you may say, oh, Prabhu, I don't really have any genuine feeling like that. We should at least feel for the fact that we don't feel like that. We can feel, I don't have any attraction for Krishna. I don't have any absorption when I'm looking at the deities. I'm not appreciating what's in Krishna Prasadam when I'm taking Krishna Prasadam. I'm not absorbed in the prayers in the morning. And I have no attraction for Krishna. So in this way we can feel Govindam Virahename, Jagat Sarvam, Sunyayitam Jagat Sarvam. We can feel the world completely vacant because we don't have an attraction for having an attraction for Krishna. So we should cry for that. We should cry for our lack of perfection. And when we do this, then Krishna will bless us with extraordinary spiritual strength. Srila Prabhupada once said, if one follows the 4 regulative principles and chants Hare Krishna, one will become as strong as the Himalayas. Spiritually as strong as the Himalayas. So we should see the gift that's being given. We should see the gift that's being given in the holy name. And not only that, you're also fortunate to be residing in Sri Kshetra Dham, the land of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the land of Jagannath. Who's here? All from Orissa. Everyone's from Orissa here?
Lots of people.
Everyone's from Orissa. So I shouldn't even be speaking. I should be hearing from all of you. It says in the Skanda Purana that anyone who's taken birth in Orissa is actually in their spirit, and they have 4 arms because they're coming from Vaikuntha.
But it is not covered.
It's covered, yeah, but still, we should understand. Who am I? Some low-born Malecha from the West coming and trying to speak about Krishna to these wonderful Vaikuntha Vasis who have taken birth in the land of Jagannath. You all grew up saying Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath.
You all grow up with pictures of Jagannath in your home, everywhere. So you're also fortunate to have taken birth in Sri Kshetra Dham. You're also fortunate to not only take birth in Sri Kshetra Dham, but to come under the protection of Srila Prabhupada, to come under the protection of Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj. I have felt since I've gotten here, Gaura Govinda Maharaj's presence is so pervasive. It's astonishing, actually. It's overwhelming. I always knew about Gaura Govinda Maharaj, and he's one of my biggest inspirations in Krishna consciousness. Since the early point in my Krishna consciousness, I've listened to his lectures, read his books, and have a profound, maybe not profound, but I have a great appreciation for Gaura Govinda Maharaj. So coming here, I was excited. I would be able to come to Maharaj's Samadhi, see his disciples, and potentially go to Gadagiri with the blessings of Prakash Prabhu. And become absorbed in, the mood here. But I wasn't expecting that his presence would be so pervasive. That that he's still living here, actually. And Maharaj is still present here, and he's present in his books, he's present in his lectures, and his Samadhi is here, so he's still here. So there's so much to take advantage of, actually. You're all so fortunate. Brahmananda Bhami Te Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. So you've all become so fortunate to come in the association of devotees, and you've all have taken birth in the most celestial places in the entire universe. This place doesn't go away. Even during the destruction of the material world, Sri Svaisha Dham remains as it is. So you're living in a celestial kingdom where Jagannath is the center of everything. Even the most common people, the most simple, heartfelt people have great devotion for Jagannath in this land. And so many acharyas are coming from here. Shamananda Pandit, Rasika Ananda, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So actually the mercy is unlimited. You're all being given such a wonderful opportunity to be here and practice Krishna consciousness in the association of devotees. So now I request you all, I seek a dakshina. I'm a brahmachari. So my dakshina is this. Please take full advantage of the process of Krishna consciousness by daily chanting 16 attentive rounds, by daily reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and simultaneously make others fortunate. You all have so much good fortune here. So now my request is that if you feel any inspiration from this class, which is, if someone does, then they're an extremely magnanimous personality. But if anyone feels any type of inspiration from hearing this class, I request you to please accept this order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yare deka tahe kaha Krishna upadesh. Amara agnaya guru tana edesh. You all become gurus. You all become gurus and teach people about the chanting of Hare Krishna. Nacho gao bhakta sange kara sankirtan. Krishna nama upadeset hara sarvajan. That go on chanting and dancing in the association of devotees. Go on chanting Krishna's names. Go on dancing. Go on having a wonderful time with Bhakta Sangha. Nacho gao Bhakta Sangha Kara Sankirtan. And simultaneously, Krishna Nama Upadeshe Tara Sarvajan. Teach people about the chanting of this name of Krishna. Teach people about the good fortune that you've received. And go to every corner of the world, at least every corner of Sri Kshetra Dham, and teach people about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. Give an opportunity to take full shelter of Gaur Nitai and utilize this life for going back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So, I don't know how much time we have. It's 8 o'clock right now. It's Saturday though, so they have class still? Yes. Very emphatic. So maybe 1, 2 questions, it's okay? No? Yes?
Krishna, anyone have any question? They can ask.
Prabhuji, so here means there is a natural conception of everyone is that if you do work, then karma is everything. People have conception. So can you elaborate it? Means what is that karma? So how you to connect that karma and our work to Krishna?
Yeah. Karma means work. It doesn't mean that by working, your work becomes divine. If that's the case, then everyone in Mexico would be a fully self-realized person. People in Mexico work extremely hard. In America, Mexicans work extremely hard. Practically all day and night, they work, work, work. Same with Chinese, they work extremely hard. Japanese, in order to work in Japan, you're expected to work 7 days of the week. You know this?
Yes.
7 days of the week you're expected to be working. People die working in Japan. They work so hard they drop dead going to and from work. They work themselves to death. Japan has the highest suicide rate than everywhere in the world because people work so hard. The social pressure is just so tight that you have to work like this. So work doesn't necessarily entail that one is spiritual. Work done for Krishna is spiritual. And even within that conception of work, there's different degrees of pure activity. So there's something which is known as aropa siddha bhakti, which means one does an activity and they connect it with Krishna. It's not pure devotion. And it won't bring about love for Krishna. So this is generally known as karma mishra bhakti. That you're performing some devotional activity, you have some sentiment, so you work in any way that you like, and you offer a fruit of the activity to Krishna. But it can only become pure, and one can only develop love for Krishna, pure love for Krishna, if they're connected with pure devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti. So one can work in this world, but one shouldn't think that their work is necessarily spiritual. Even if they're offering the fruits of their activity, surely they'll become purified. But that purification is there in order for one to feel attraction for Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani, Vedanam. The 9 limbs of devotion, pure devotional service. These are the only things that can actually bring about Krishna Prema. Not just working in any damn way one likes. If one loves someone, you have to act according to the way they want you to act. So Krishna, the activities that Krishna wants us to engage in is manmanam anamam bhakto, majrigi mam namaskuru, mame vaishyasha yukvayanam, atmanam atparayanaha. Krishna wants us to think of Him. Krishna wants us to pay obeisances to Him. Krishna wants us to become His devotee. These are the activities that Krishna wants to engage in. But because we don't have attraction for that, we try to act in a way that's contrary to Krishna and then offer the fruit of that activity to Krishna. And Krishna, being merciful, accepts it. But this activity alone isn't enough to bring about the true satisfaction of life. And the true satisfaction of life is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Savai pum samparo dharmo yator bhaktir arhoksaje ahoy tikhi pratiyata yeyatvam supersediti. The only yeyatvam supersediti is when one engages in ahoitikiya pratiyata bhakti, uninterrupted and unmotivated devotional service. So this means that one has to engage in the activities of pure devotion, which includes hearing, chanting, remembering. These are the activities which will actually allow one to make spiritual advancement. The other activities purify the heart so one can develop attraction for these activities and make that the only thing they're fixed on. And this is what this verse, Shada Shabde Vishwas Kohe, means. It means that all of one's faith is no longer, they don't feel that they have to engage in karma. They don't feel like they have to engage in any more jnana. They are fully convinced that simply by accepting the process of pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, they'll achieve the perfection of life. So this is the type of faith we have to cultivate. It's not that you just work, work, work and you make spiritual advancement. That's a misconception. I don't know who introduced it, but whoever introduced it, Prabhupada referred to them as a rascal. It's a misconception. What allows one to make spiritual advancement is being connected with pure devotion, being connected with the activities of pure devotion, and pleasing Krishna through those activities. When one is able to please Krishna, that is the constitutional position of the living entity. When one is able to give pleasure to Krishna. And that pleasure comes through these 9 Navavida Bhakti, as it said here. Taramadi Sarva Shreshta Nama Sankirtan. So there's another verse which says, Sarva Shreshta Nama Sankirtana Sarva Shreshta Navavida Bhakti. Something along those lines. So of all the 9 processes of devotional service, it's even saying here, Tara Madhye Sarva Shreshta Nama Sankirtan. The 9 types of devotional service, Nam Sankirtan is the best. So this is the most pleasing to Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
And the second question, and that is in ISKCON, everyone says that if you do any kind of seva, like you are doing a great seva, like boss management in preaching, so like if we clean temple hall or garbage cleaning or bringing flowers for deities, then how we will become purified? What is the process? How?
Yeah, all those activities are pure devotional service. Bringing flowers for the deity, that's archanam. Cleaning the temple, that's also archanam. Going out and preaching, that's kirtanam. Printing books, Prabhupada said, was archanam. He said that the organization of like the BBT and like printing books and all these things, that's archanam, Prabhupada said. So all the activities that are connected with pure devotional service, we have to just see which category they fit in. And you can inquire from a devotee if you have a doubt. Like for instance, if you're working in IT and you say, "Oh, I'm putting together this program and it's for my boss, but I'm giving a little bit of percentage." It's probably not pure devotion, but you give a little bit of percentage, you become purified where you can appreciate the activities of pure devotion more. So, but if you're developing a program for Krishna, by which, like for instance, sometimes I have to make posters for preaching. So I'm working on a computer, I'm doing everything that externally it looks like I'm doing all the same activities of an IT engineer. But the poster is solely for the purpose of glorifying Krishna. It's not for maintaining myself, it's not for satisfying the sentiments of some materialistic person. It's simply to glorify Krishna. So all activities that are connected with not all activities, but everything can be connected to Krishna in some way. But the activities that are specifically pleasing to Krishna is these 9. And within these 9 there's different, okay, for instance, cleaning the temple, buying flowers, these are archana. And they're all absolute, they're all perfect. But of all of them, Taramadi Sarva Shreshta Nama Sankirtan. Because Nam Sankirtan is the most accessible. I explained that at the beginning of the class. In order to do archanam, in order to clean the temple, you have to have a working body, right? You have to be, if you're like an old person, you can try to do it, but it could become very difficult, and at one point you may not be able to. In order to, get flowers, you have to drive somewhere, so it requires you have a vehicle and all these things. But the holy name, all you need is a tongue and lips, and you can chant very easily. So Nama Sankirtan, it's the most accessible. So therefore it's the best devotional service because it's the most accessible for everyone in the world. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jharikanda, he made all the animals chant and dance. It's okay? Any more questions? You probably all have so many things to do now. Thank you for tolerating me. It's a great pleasure to tolerate me. Thank you. Thank you. So I brought in Mahaprasad from Pune. So so you can all come and get some. You can distribute it. And then this is prasadam from the temple here. I'm not able to take it, so you can distribute it to them.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji has traveled from a long way to us and gave his valuable association. He has described very vividly that what is the importance of holy name, how to take it seriously. So how to connect us to Krishna and how to connect our each and every activities to Krishna and his holy name. So let us thank His Grace Debabrata Prabhuji by one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so what next? You all have school today?
All are preparing, means they have online and offline classes.
I see. So they have preparation today. Well, thank you all very much for allowing me to come to Bhubaneswar. I don't know how I became fortunate to come to such a holy land, but I'm very grateful to be here. And thank you all for keeping the transcendental vibration going here in Sri Satyadam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj ki jai. Nidai Gaura Premanande.